Chapter 8, The Escape. Tristan and Rigard stare at the second puzzle for the key. A scale with a 5-gallon pot and a 3-gallon pot.
The dwarves of Bemgron are known for their elaborate traps and puzzles,
stated Rigard. On the wall they see a plaque with a riddle on it. In all things I take no side, it is in the center I reside. My presence is fair, often required for some to share. If you lose me you shall fall, with me you can stand tall. The two looks at the riddle and the scales.
It looks like we need to balance these two jugs on the scales,
said Tristan. Tristan began filling the jugs and then began emptying them to try and get a balance, but somehow doesn't seem to be getting it to work right.
I think we need to use the jugs to get the exact measurements.
The two filled the 5-gallon jug full and poured 3 gallons into the 3-gallon. Then emptied the 3-gallon jug again. Then poured the 2 gallons into the 3-gallon jug. They then filled the 5-gallon jug again. Then filled the 3-gallon jug, leaving 4 gallons in the 5-gallon jug and the 3-gallon jug being full. They placed the 2 jugs on the scales, and soon after the key slot opened, and the second key became available.
2 down, and 2 to go,
said Rigard. The two left the room to the right, peeking around and being wary of their surroundings, entering a large room with tattered and broken furniture and ripped tapestries on the wall. In the corner, hanging from a post, a 2-foot golden cage. As they got closer to the cage, they saw inside the slightly golden cage, a small fairy fluttered her delicate wings in a rhythmic pattern. Her ethereal form radiated a soft glow, casting gentle shadows against the cage's metallic walls. Dressed in a pristine white gown that seemed to shimmer with its own inner light, she appeared elegant yet somewhat forlorn. Her tiny figure hovered in the confined space, her movements graceful yet restrained, as if she were accustomed to a freedom denied to her in this moment. Despite her enchanting beauty, a sense of boredom lingered in her expression, her eyes gazing wistfully beyond the confines of her gilded prison.
"Excuse me. Can you get me out of here?"
pleaded the fairy, her voice tinged with urgency as she crossed her delicate arms and tapped her tiny foot impatiently against the bottom of the cage.
"What?"
replied Tristan.
"It's simple, just get me out of this cage. I don't know if I can make what I am saying any clearer,"
stated the fairy.
"Hurry, because I have been in her way too long. I am not having any fun."
How did you get in there?
asked Rigard.
"Duh, the people brought me in here,"
said the fairy.
"What happened here?"
asked Tristan.
"How would I know? I've been in this cage the whole time. Now can you release me?"
begged the fairy. Tristan walked up to the cage and started examining it. A combination lock on the bottom, and next to the combination lock is a small keyhole.
"You wouldn't know where the key is?"
asked Tristan.
"If I knew that, do you think I would still be in here?"
retorted the fairy indignantly.
"You are a bossy little thing, aren't you?"
replied Tristan with a hint of amusement. He retrieved his lockpick set and began working on the cage's lock. It didn't take him long, and with a satisfying click, the lock released, causing the bottom of the cage to drop about a 1/4 inch. Tristan noticed a thread and began turning it counterclockwise from the bottom of the cage. Soon enough, the bottom was fully released, and the fairy flew out of the cage with a grateful expression.
"Haha, good luck, idiots,"
she laughed, sticking her tongue out and putting her thumbs in her ears. After gloating about her newfound freedom, she flew off towards the exit, her laughter echoing as she disappeared from sight.
"That thing was rude,"
stated Tristan with a hint of annoyance. Tristan and Rigard exchanged a puzzled glance as they witnessed the unexpected decay of the fairy's cage. The once gleaming metal now corroded before their eyes, as if plagued by some malevolent curse. Rust crept along its bars like vines, and sections of the cage began to crumble away, falling to the ground with ominous clangs. The two backed away from the cage and looked at each other. As Rigard led the way, Tristan trailed close behind, their footsteps echoing faintly in the dimly lit corridor. The walls bore sinister inscriptions, etched into the stone with jagged lines that spoke of demonic presence. The crude marks, resembling the work of claws or blades, sent a shiver down their spines as they passed by. Tristan's keen eyes caught sight of cryptic lettering on the floor, illuminated by the flickering torchlight. His gaze shifted to the wall where another riddle awaited, its ominous message hanging in the air like a foreboding omen. The words gnawed at their curiosity, beckoning them to unravel the mystery that lay ahead.
I am buried when I am alive, but dug up when I am dead.
Tristan mused aloud, his voice barely a whisper amidst the oppressive atmosphere of the hallway. Rigard glanced back at him, his expression reflecting a mixture of intrigue and apprehension as they continued their journey into the unknown depths of the dungeon. With a flash of insight, Tristan's eyes widened as he deciphered the riddle.
Plants,
he exclaimed, his voice echoing down the corridor as he spelled out the word on the ground, tracing the letters with his finger. As if by magic, the hidden mechanism of the trap responded to the correct answer, revealing an easy path through the perilous obstacle. Rigard nodded approvingly, acknowledging Tristan's quick thinking as they safely navigated past the trap. The corridor stretched out before them, beckoning them forward into the unknown depths of the dungeon as they pressed on, their resolve unyielding in the face of the challenges that lay ahead. Almost to the door, the two know if they must turn around, they need to be careful. As they get close to the door down the hallway, Tristan and Rigard get wary about their movement and try to be silent. Tristan slowly props open the door and he sees 5 large humanoid creatures with black skin all around them. They are all hunched over a body, laughing and ripping pieces from it. What stood before them is something that shouldn't exist: demons. The demons stood tall, looming at about 8 feet in height, their muscular yet slender forms exuding an aura of ominous power. Long, sinewy fingers extended from their hands, each digit tipped with razor-sharp talons that gleamed in the dim light, measuring about 4 inches in length. Their faces were elongated and angular, devoid of any trace of a nose, giving them a hauntingly inhuman appearance. When they parted their lips, rows of jagged teeth lined their mouths, each tooth measuring about 2 inches in length and glinting malevolently as they moved. Their eyes burned with a fiery intensity, glowing with a sinister light that betrayed their demonic nature. With every movement, they exuded an air of primal menace, instilling fear in any who dared to cross their path.
Looks like dessert has arrived,
one of the demons said. Another demon smiled and laughed. Tristan closed the door and quickly started heading up the hallway.
I think this one is for you.
They both got about 15 feet down the hallway when the door opened, and the two realized there was no getting out of this combat. As the door swung open, revealing the menacing figures of 5 demons lurking within, Tristan swiftly conjured an exploding fireball, his hands crackling with arcane energy. With a determined glare, he prepared to unleash his fiery onslaught upon the approaching horde. Meanwhile, Rigard stepped forward with calculated resolve, Storm Weaver gleaming in his grip as he braced himself for the impending clash. Despite the odds stacked against them, there was no hesitation in his movements, only a steely determination to confront the demonic adversaries head-on.
Normal weapons won't work on these beasts,
yells Tristan. Tristan's warning echoed through the hallway, a stark reminder of the formidable challenge they faced. With their foes closing in, the two companions stood firm, ready to unleash their combined might against the encroaching darkness.
Luckily, Stormweaver isn't a normal weapon,
smirched Rigard. As 2 of the demons unleashed crackling bolts of lightning towards Rigard, their assault fizzled out abruptly as their magic dissipated upon contact with his protective aura. A look of bewilderment crossed the face of one demon as its attack failed to find its mark, prompting an exclamation of frustration from its companion. Seizing the opportunity, Tristan unleashed his prepared spell with pinpoint accuracy, sending a searing explosion of flames hurtling towards their demonic adversaries. The fiery blast engulfed the group, scorching their forms and eliciting roars of pain and fury. Undeterred by their foes' counterattack, Rigard pressed forward with unwavering resolve, his gaze fixed upon the demonic horde. With each step, he closed the distance, his determination unwavering in the face of adversity. As Rigard got closer to the demons, they realized they were no longer able to use their magical abilities and prepared for a fight. Tristan lets out another exploding fireball, but it doesn't do what he thinks it does. As he casts the spell and throws it at the demons, it dissipates, but for some reason, he still sees it fly towards the demons for a direct hit. Rigard masterly moved towards one of the demons with a perfect swing, cleaves one of the demon's skulls in half, immediately killing the beast. The second demon swings at Rigard with his claws cutting deep into his left shoulder, causing Rigard to wince in pain from the wound.
Any more of those hits, and it might actually kill me,
thought Rigard. Tristan, adapting quickly to the changing dynamics of the battle, combined his spells with precision and skill. Focusing his energy, he merged the lethal forces of Death Touch and Spell Missile, channeling them into a single potent blast aimed at the furthest demon. With unwavering determination, Tristan released the spell, watching as it soared through the air with deadly accuracy. Upon impact, the combined magical assault struck true, overwhelming the demon's defenses and extinguishing its life force in an instant. As the fallen demon crumpled to the ground, Tristan's newfound proficiency in spellcasting proved invaluable, offering a glimmer of hope amidst the chaos of their harrowing confrontation. As the demon began to fall, Tristan thought to himself,
This will work, and being outside of his mana drain, I can actually replenish myself after each attack.
Two of the demons stepped back away from the doorway entrance so they cannot be seen by Tristan. Rigard stepped forward and landed a solid hit on the demon that struck him, severely wounding it, and it let out a loud roar. Tristan let out another Death Touch spell, and it landed directly at the demon Rigard struck, killing the demon immediately. Rigard plants his right foot and stabs through the eye of the demon out of Tristan's view, hitting him directly in the brain, killing that demon. The demon to the right of the door begins to lunge towards Rigard and trips over one of his compadres and stumbles in front of the door. Tristan readies his spell and throws it at the demon, hitting him again, but the beast doesn't fall this time. Rigard pulls his sword out of the eye of the one demon and swings it around, decapitating the head of the final demon. As the last vestiges of life fled from their bodies, the defeated demons seemed to liquefy, their forms dissolving into a grotesque puddle upon the stone floor. Like wax melting under the searing heat of a flame, their once formidable frames wilted and melded with the ground, leaving behind only a foul residue of their malevolent essence. As they walked up to the bodies that were being devoured by these beasts, the armors and weapons were broken, and only thing left was a couple irons laying on the floor. It seemed apparent that these demons ran through the temple, destroying everything they could find and causing torment to those who couldn't escape in time. The cage that held the fairy was magical, and it protected the fairy from their carnage, or the demons enjoyed torturing a fairy. After applying some sulfate to himself for the wound he received from the demons, the two continued to move on, and as they continued following a winding hallway, they entered the puzzle for the third key. On the wall, the numbers on the wall, 2, 3, 5, 7, and two sets of tumblers numbered 0 to 9 followed. The riddle stated, I have two factors, I am positive and not negative, I am whole and never separated. The two saw this and quickly moved the first set to 11 and the second to 13.
Sometimes you get lucky,
said Rigard as the third key became apparent. Exiting to the east, they followed the hallway, and the final puzzle was there. It was square with a plus in the middle of the square with slots to move the wood slabs that made up the shapes. The plaque next to them stated the power of 3 will give you the key. Tristan moved one of the wood slots to a corner, then moved a second. Rigard moved the third to a random spot. The wood slabs sunk back into the wall and appeared as before.
Looks like we only get 3 moves to make 3 squares,
said Rigard. Tristan and Rigard looked at the wall for a moment. Rigard moved the first piece to the middle outside slot. Tristan then moved a corner, and Rigard moved the third into the final spot, making 3 squares as the pieces sunk back in the final key, which they grabbed quickly. The two spent about an hour walking through the rest of the temple to notice that the only things that were left were skeletal remains, broken weapons, armor, and destroyed valuables. As they left the temple, they secured their horses. The two matched up the keys and turned them all one after another. Loud clicking sounds arose, locks moved out of their positions, and the sound of chains being rolled filled the cave and was almost deafening. The solid door that blocked the way opened towards a path that led away from the cave. They traveled for about 2 days, and the weather was fair. They arrived at their next stop on the way to Vladimir, the city of Hofen. It is a large city, just a bit smaller than Kalin. The streets were filled with individuals going about their daily lives. The walls of the country were filled with positive information about the mayor of the city. Everything from how he invented farming and began hunting when he was 3 years old to being able to slaying a bear with his bare hands. Everyone was wearing armbands. A sign says, "Don't forget your armband to proclaim your allegiance to the mayor." As the two entered the city, everyone seemed happy and welcoming of the two strangers to their town.
Do you hear that faint sound?
Asked Rigard.
What do you hear?
Responded Tristan.
It sounds like singing.
Tristan began to concentrate as hard as he could for a split second. He thought he heard something, but it soon was silence.
I don't hear anything.
As they ventured deeper into the city, a sudden disturbance rippled through the fabric of reality, manifesting as a shimmering portal that materialized before them. Stepping forth from its ethereal embrace was a figure cloaked in the trappings of deity or magehood, his stature unremarkable save for the air of authority that clung to him like a second skin. With a mane of long hair cascading down his back and a meticulously groomed handlebar mustache adorning his face, the man exuded an aura of seasoned wisdom and arcane prowess. His attire, resplendent with the regalia of his order, bespoke a lineage steeped in the mystic arts, each gem and embellishment a testament to his mastery.
Brother,
He addressed Rigard, his voice carrying the weight of urgency.
we are summoned back to our homeland, for a crisis of grave importance beckons.
Rigard's response was swift and resolute, his tone tinged with the bitterness of old wounds.
Ager, I have long forsaken my birthright and severed ties with our kin. Whatever plight besets them now is of no concern to me.
You have an obligation to at least hear them out. It should not take more than a week. Your friend can relax and do what he pleases while he waits. He probably needs the rest anyway. You have always been so uptight.
Ager persisted.
Fine.
Rigard acquiesced begrudgingly. Ager's gaze then shifted to Tristan, his curiosity piqued by the anomalies before him.
This is weird. You seem to be negating all magic.
He observed, his eyes flickering with intrigue.
And you are a beacon? This is fascinating. Let's go to this coffee shop and I can explain there.
Ager begins to talk to the two how there is a science to magic, and it is not just mysterious all the time. That they have been studying how magic flows from high magic to non-magic areas, and that a spell retains its power from the mana source it originates from.
Let me simplify this for you. Let's number mana zones from 0 to 4. 0 is a no mana zone, and magic can't be cast in that area. 1 is a low mana zone, and it takes more individual effort to cast spells in that area. 2 is normal mana zone spells are cast normally. 3 is a high mana zone, and those that cast spells get their mana back immediately after. And 4 is very high zone. This is where spellcasters can get their mana back immediately, and it takes half the effort to cast spells.
So, I am a 0 then?
Rigard asked.
No, you are a -2, and that shouldn't exist. As per the laws of thaumatology,
Ager replied, his tone laced with intrigue.
Tristan, you are a beacon, and I have only seen objects get imbued with temporary boost to individuals' magic, which can only be used in short couple time uses. You shouldn't exist either. How did this happen? I must know.
As Tristan was about to answer, Rigard interrupted him quickly and said,
We have no idea how this happened. I guess we just got lucky. We should probably be going. Mom and Dad are waiting.
I guess you are right. Do you mind, Tristan, if I use you as boost so we can get out of here?
Tristan quickly agrees.
Brother, do you hear anything?
Asked Rigard. Ager paused for a moment.
Nothing. But then again, you have always been. Particular.
Ager grabs Tristan's shoulder and quickly casts a portal, and the two step through the portal and it disappears. Tristan decided he needed to find a place to stay, so as he walked down the street, he came to an inn called the Hot Seagull Inn. A restaurant and a bar were on the first floor, and the reception desk was in front as he walked into the inn. A tall man with blonde hair and a dark mustache was behind the desk. He was wearing typical dress attire for a professional.
How may I help you, sir?
I am looking for a room for a week,
said Tristan. The man told him it would be a 100, and he gave him his room key as he walked upstairs and settled in and began to make plans on what he wanted to have done before Rigard came back from his family trip.
How weird was that?
Thought Tristan.